So, the cat's out of the bag. I have mental health needs. I guess I just wanted to let you know, like, why it took me so long to actually admit that on the internet. Couple of different reasons. Work. So when I started to look for a job as a phlebotomist, I knew where I wanted to work, a certain company, and I have had my illness under control for 2.5 to 3 years before I started my career, and that is one reason why it took me until I was 30 to actually start. I'm 31 now, because I kept on having like relapses and issues, complications, medicine changes, hospital visits, emergency room, crisis center, all the stuff. And this last time I went to the hospital, I was hoping, the goal in the hospital was to get medication that actually works. And with that, I had to advocate for myself, and I'm the one that thought of my diagnosis, schizoaffective disorder, and that's only because I heard of the diagnosis from Lauren, who is also a YouTuber. She runs the Living Well with Schizophrenia channel with her partner Rob, and she's actually had a baby during her struggles, so that gives me hope for that in the future. But anyways, so I know a diagnosis from her, and I'm not crazy, because that is actually what I have. I have all the psychotic features, and I have all of the bipolar features, mania, not being able to sleep, getting hallucinations, and it just falling apart even more from there. So I'm the one that told the doctors I have schizoaffective disorder, and then they finally put that on the books, and I wasn't taking any medication, and then I got into the courtroom where they had to court order me to take certain medications, which one I was on for 3.5 years, or just shy of 3.5 years, and it helped, you know, for that whole time I didn't relapse. And so I got on the right medication, and they ordered me to take more, which is risperidone. And risperidone is a medication that made me very, very, very weak, very, very tired, very, very lethargic, very, very, very heavy sleeping. Like, my heart was probably going to fail eventually because of how sedated and like heavy I felt. Like, I would lay in my bed and it would be like pressure would be on me, and then I would try to move and I would like feel like I'm underwater, like in the deepest water, and like try to push, like I'm pushing like a weight or something. That's how like dead kind of I felt. And so it wasn't all good in the hospital. I had to overcome. They sent me home like that. They sent me home not being able to function as a human being at all. And I thought, F this, like, no, I'm not gonna be like this for the rest of my life. I'm gonna get off of this terrible medication. So I slowly got off of that. And with psych meds, you really have to wean yourself off of them. Kind of like a illicit drug, or else how do I explain this? You have withdrawals. You have to slowly take off the medication, or else like a lot of bad things could happen. And then so after coming off of that, I told my doctor, like, I still felt like the feeling of like despair, and I was on Invega injections, which is specifically for schizoaffective disorder or schizophrenia. And I told her I still have this constant feeling of like second guessing myself and making it like hard to wake up, hard to not sleep, like hard to function happily. So even though the Invega had given me my life back with, not hallucinating, paranoia, hearing voices, anxiety, well, I still had a little anxiety and mania and depression. So she finally gave me Zyprexa as a as-needed medication. The as-needed medication I took every day because it was a little pill that gave me a glimmer of hope in my life to be happier. I also took Artane, which is a side effect medication. She tried to give me risperidone again. I took the smallest dose and I took that, and I was at work and I could not, like, I was not there. I was just like very sleepy, barely opened my eyes. So I told her I can't take that, and she gave me the Zyprexa. So that helped a little bit. But I was having other health issues. So like, this is embarrassing, but I was having lactation, I was having irregular periods, I was having infertility issues, probably because of that. And it could also cause osteoporosis in your bones, where your bones slowly deteriorate. So after working with my doctor and getting on Zyprexa and having my 3-year stretch of wellness in the books, I switched doctors because, so back to the work thing. I was going on 3 years with being well, and by well I mean like I can get through life, basically. It's not like, oh, like I enjoy everything I do and happy-go-lucky, like everything's rainbows and butterflies. No, not like that. I can get through life. Like, I don't have hallucinations. Everything I see is the reality of everyone else's reality. And I didn't feel paranoid or delusional. I was able to have all my executive functions, like in your brain where you're thinking straight. So, but there was also, you know, the part of me that was manic or like has spending sprees and like tries to go everywhere and do everything, and like car accidents and tickets and like little things like that like would happen, and I would just like, oh yeah, whatever, and just kind of like move on to the next thing. So that wasn't the healthiest thing to do, but basically getting through life, I knew that I could get through it. Like, I can drive myself places, I can eat when I need to eat, I can bathe myself like regularly, I can even go to the gym every now and then. And basically what I wanted to do years before that, which got interrupted by one of my hospital stays, the phlebotomy work, I was kind of stalling for a little while and just needed to work in the education field, because it was something that I knew how to do and I liked and everything before switching to phlebotomy. So when I got to be serious about applying for places, so my company, I applied for all around Northern California, every location basically. And the job that I got during my paperwork portion of the onboarding training, so like before I even started at all, like I had a lot of things to do online that they needed me to complete before they could have me start training. And one of them was, do you have any disabilities? And the list was pretty extensive. So there's mental health, physical health, disabilities, eyesight, like hearing problems, like are you mute, or like do you have diabetes, do you have cancer, do you have thyroid disease, like extensive list. And so the mental health is something that I have, and they need a certain percentage of people that do have disabilities so that they know that they're not discriminating. So basically, if you do have something, we can accommodate you, we still want you to work. Like, so that's why I feel more comfortable talking about it. And even if my boss says, oh, I want to look up Chloe on YouTube, like, she can do that, and she can see, oh, I have schizoaffective disorder, but she knows that I do my job right and I can get along with other people reasonably and that I'm a good worker, and that my disability doesn't affect that pretty much for the most part. So that is one of the long-winded reasons of why I decided to share. So I know, like, my job may not be forever and ever and ever and ever. It's probably not my complete goal for my rest of my life. This part, maybe keep that out from hearing my boss hearing. Skip over this part. So, like, yes, I love my job. It is very fun. It's very convenient. It's so social. It's so, you have the skill. You have a skill that can save people's lives. And like, one of the reasons why I started that is like phlebotomy. Like, I had my blood drawn a lot to try to figure out like if there's any other underlying reasons why I've been having such a hard time with my mind. One of the tests being vitamin D, and I was deficient in vitamin D, like most people are. And so I was able to start taking vitamin D supplements, and that helped a little bit. I take like 1,000 IU or so a day, well, 1,000 IU a day, and that is hopefully keeping my levels regulated. But that's but yeah, my job is like so social, so like can save people's lives. You know, I'm scared of the doctor, even though so many things has caused me to have to work with them. I'm scared of the physical, like physicians, like the ones that have to deal with your body. Like I'm petrified petrified of childbirth, petrified of surgery, petrified of plastic surgery. Like all that freaks me out. And so what I need in my life, my health, is separate from all of that. It's just kind of like there's different things you can do, like take medicine, go to therapy, you can work with the doctor about counseling, or like work with the doctor about what kinds of medications. That's a very important aspect, very important aspect, because so many different medications, you can have so many different reactions, like, you know, the like feeling heavy and you can't get out of bed, and like literally cannot get out of bed. Not like, oh, I'm depressed, can't get out of bed. No, like literally the gravity takes you down, like that kind of thing. For medication, that's not gonna work. Like I am going to need to go through some trial and error, and let me tell you, like, gone through so many trials and errors, like different medications during my stays, and Haldol for me, deathly. My muscles all over my body were stiff as a board. I could not bend, I could not move, I could not walk. I was laying on the floor trying to talk, could not talk either. I need a doctor, I need a doctor, I need a doctor, trying to advocate for myself. I need a doctor. Like, this is not normal. Sorry, I don't mean to get all snotty, but like, that is very important. Cannot stress it enough. The types of medications, types of reactions you have. I'm not saying like Haldol is bad for everyone, but for me, it was detrimental, bad. And I finally was able, after like some other patients were saying she needs to go to the doctor, finally got an ambulance ride to the hospital. In the hospital, I was given like morphine and saline and all this stuff to, like, you know, my body to like let go of all the medication that they've been pumping me with. So the medication finally was wearing off, and I started shaking like can't move, just like shaking in my bed, and tremors, I guess they would call it, tremors or in your muscles. Like they sometimes call it tardive dyskinesia, or however you say it, and that's where your body involuntarily moves, so your blinking is more. Well, I have that, obviously. Like I blink every 2 seconds or 3 seconds or whatever, and so it's like give and take with different medications. You have to kind of like weigh the pros, the cons, like what your needs are. Like if you have no problem never having children, maybe a certain kind of drug where it debilitates your fertility you think, oh, that's no big deal, I don't really want kids anyways, take a certain kind of medication that makes you irregular and have prolactin levels high, but that's not really healthy either. So there's so much to consider. It's vast. But why I feel comfortable now talking about this stuff is like, I have a disability. I tried to get like SSI, but somehow they didn't like accept it or believe it, something like that. Are you actually in the hospital? Are you like, I don't know. I'm seeing psychiatrists, and I saw a therapist and several different therapists, and yeah, but even though I have a disability, I can still work, and that's one thing that I'm so thankful for. And it's not going to affect that unless, you know, what I'm on now, which is Zyprexa, which helped with the depression, like more fully spectrum of what's going on, and I'm taking Lamictal, which is for bipolar, depression, mania, all those symptoms. So an antipsychotic Zyprexa and a mood stabilizer Lamictal, and Artane for the side effects, which is like tardive dyskinesia. And so those are like what is keeping my, like, it's like a precautionary medication now. Like I know what it feels like. I know the pattern now. It's like, have major problems, go to the hospital, break down emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, every way you could ever possibly break down inside of the hospital, because there's so much going on. Get on lots of medication, like lots of medication, and then go home drugged, still hallucinating, still depression, still paranoia, still anxiety, things are looking strange still, and then get better, do some therapy, some psychiatrists, change your medication, wean off of it, you're on the top of the world. And then a few months later, when you're at a weak point in life, like usually with me it's relationships, then starts all over again. So I think I'll stay on the medication. So precautionary, I mean, I'm religious, so I know like prayer helps. I pray every night. I go to a regular church Wednesday nights, sometimes Sundays. I go to work, which helps a lot because it gives me opportunities to be social. Where was I going with that? But yeah, those things help a lot. Therapy helps because I always have the tea. Like, I'm always spilling the tea. Always got the tea. The tea is being had all the time. So the tea is spilling whenever I talk to someone or listen to someone. So when you have so much tea build up in your little teapot brain, and you're just still filling up, you know, the teapot in your brain, and the teapot just like kind of like the lid's falling off a little bit, the spout's spouting like that. Well, that's how it is if you keep on, brewing more tea. It just kind of like, but you get the picture. So you need some people to drink the tea. So you go to a therapist, you have a tea party. You say, I have so much tea. The tea is being spilled into her teacups. She's got one, you've got one. You're like, ooh, more tea for everyone. Then you start talking about the other tea party friends. Those tea party friends are like, oh, we want some tea too. Like, so you just pour into their those individual people or scenarios or anything like that. You just say, oh, and then everything is better. You feel a little vulnerable afterwards because all that tea is gone from your body or your mind, and you're like, oh no, did I overshare? Was that okay? Like, is the tea party over? Like, you're just kind of like left with maybe like a half a pot, quarter of a pot, like a teapot. And then you go on your merry way, go home and whatever, and you sleep it off, and you are able to collect more tea. So that's how I completely started making up that scenario. Yeah. So like my job is what is keeping me afloat, money, financial wise, and also emotionally, and so yeah. So that's why I couldn't talk too much about it, and now I can talk. So tell me your stories. I want to know. See you next time.